Right here is every D&D product almost that has come out this year in 2024. Are these great products? And that's what we're going to be finding out today by doing a tier list. Great means that if I lost it or it just accidentally got set on fire and burnt up, I'd go out and buy another one. I need it. Good is simply a good product, I don't necessarily need it, but I'd recommend it if people like that kind of thing. Fine is fine. And then we have bad. Bad is obviously, why did they do this? This feels like a money grab. It's a scam. Never buy this. Don't make content like this. And then the last one here is did not get. And there's a few things in here that we can fill did not get with right now. The first is I did not get the D&D Converse. I kind of wanted the D&D Converse. I didn't get around to getting it. They're also very expensive, but I'm sure they're nice. I'm sure they're just Converse with pretty images on them. I also did not get any of the D&D novels that came out this year. The other one I didn't get is this Making of Original D&D and other books like that. This is pretty political right now. Elon Musk has been tweeting out about it. It's going around. I don't want to deal with politics, so did not get. D&D Pop-Tarts. They said they were going to deal with Pop-Tarts. I've not seen anything since then. So maybe in the States they're around, but I've certainly not been able to even find out if they exist or not. And then finally I didn't get the Lego set. I got some Lego stuff, but I didn't spend 500 Canadian dollars on a full Lego set, mostly because of budget and time constraints. But the rest of these things are on this table right now. So let's start with, and I'm actually quite excited about this, the Dungeon Master screen. Literally, I got it yesterday. It's kind of cheeky that they don't show what's on the actual screen anywhere on here. And in fact, they show what's on the front of the DM screen in the tiniest possible space where you can't really see what's going on. It's very hard to tell what the product actually is in here and whether it's worth it, but let's find out. So right off the bat, it actually looks like there's more information on here than my last DM screen. Or there's less images. It's not as nice to look at, I think. But the font's bigger. They've put the most important stuff on the two side pages. So they see the most important stuff that they put on the side pages as conditions and travel pace and cover rules. A lot of DMs just don't even use the DM screen anymore. And I have to admit, I still use one to hide roles or just put stuff behind it. But I will just look stuff up on my laptop now. It's faster to Google something than it is to find it on a DM screen. And you know what? Looking at my feed back to me now, the colors of this look pretty nice. I like it more than the old DM screen. Whether or not we need DM screens is a conversation for another time. It's not great because you don't need it at all, but I feel like putting it down in fine, it's just fine, is a bit low because they've improved. They've improved on the last DM screen. It's a good product. It's going in good for the first one. All right, next up, we're going to do this very quickly because people have spoken about them a lot on other channels, and I've spoken about them before. Player's Handbook, the limited edition Player's Handbook specifically, is, I think, a beautiful book. As a collector of books and having things on my shelf, this is so nice. So already just aesthetically, it's good tier. And then I think the artwork on the inside of it is so nice. I think the way it's laid out is really nice, but I don't think it's necessary entirely. I'm not going to tell people to rush out and buy it. So with that in mind, the Player's Handbook is going to go in good as well. However, the Dungeon Master's Guide, also the limited edition, has all the same pros as the Player's Handbook as far as it being aesthetically pleasing and looking nice on my shelf. But I have really enjoyed reading this, albeit I am a DM mostly. So, it is directly targeting me. I think this book is just a joy to read. So it's good. It's great even. And now we're going to get into something maybe a little contentious, which is character sheets. This is retailing for $15 for pieces of paper that I could print off at my local library. But before we get into it, the only thing that I think would make this worth the price would be if the paper quality was really nice. If the paper quality on this is really nice, and I know it's double-sided paper, I want hard card, I want nice to hold, nice to feel. Oh, this one actually comes apart much easier. It's the first time I've ever pulled one of these without it breaking. Comes in a folder. And then, oh, okay, let's have a look at this. So these are like new character sheet designs even that I've not used. And once again, I'd have to use it a little bit in a game to see if I like the character sheet design, but it looks good. They've really not wasted space. There's no margins around the side, barely any margins at the top and the bottom as well. So there is a lot of space for your stuff. I saw someone complaining about the amount of space you have if you were getting into like equipment or spells even, that you could run out of space there. You would need to add like a second sheet of paper, and it's not the hard card that I would have wanted for that price, but it feels like thick, sturdy paper. It feels like it wouldn't be that easy to rip, to be honest. But that being said, much as I like to give everything a good score, and it does come with a nice folder for it all. It's expensive. It's expensive paper, so it's fine. Which is, honestly, I thought that was going to go in bad. I did think I was going to put that in bad. I was planning to put that in bad, but it's simply not bad. It's just not good. So it's fine. Okay, on to the Book of Concealment. So this whole deal is that it's supposed to be a journal, like they've done in the past. They've made journals just like this. Nice D&D journal, but it's also supposed to work as a DM screen to some degree. Ooh, okay. So this is the front cover, and then when you open it, you got some very cool artwork in there. Oh, and it just keeps unraveling. And then I guess that this would be the DM screen. It's low-key what we were talking about earlier. There's obviously no information on the back of it for the DM, but if you just wanted to hide your roles or put your own post-it notes on here or your own information, you could do. The journal itself slots into the side of here, but this is it out, and it's grid paper, which I personally like for D&D, but there's a really nice texture to this. There's really nice textures to this. This is nice. This is fun to hold. I like this, to be honest. I like the fact that if you were a minimalistic DM, you would just take this. This would be your notebook and your DM screen, and you would take this and some dice, and you'd be ready to go. Yeah. Oh my god, I think this is a good product. This costs $25 USD. This would be a great product. Thank you for the follow, Matt. This would be genuinely a great product for like a Christmas gift, I think. And it could even be good for players as well. I mean, you don't want your players hiding their roles or anything like that, but just a cool D&D thing that is, yeah, especially good for someone who plays and DMs, I think. Notebook and DM screen. Damn. I really thought I was going to be more brutal on this stuff. I really thought I was going to be a bit more like of a jerk, but that's a good product. Again, the Book of Concealment. Okay, so this is a Mimic box full of, I think, 5 D&D journals, like mini journals. So the idea would be, if you wanted to buy a Christmas present, I threw it on the ground. If you wanted to buy a Christmas present or like a gift for your entire table, you would just get them this. And like people who want mini notebooks can have mini notebooks, and anyone who wants like I guess a dice holder or some kind of storage can keep the box. I've got to say, how much was this? This cost me $37 Canadian. It's $27 USD, which I think is a bit pricey because the actual box feels a bit cheap. It's just cardboard. It's just like a cardboard box. But opening it, it's a nice touch that they've got like a set of teeth on the inside. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notebooks. And they have this thing here, which I'm not sure what it is. So let's have a look. So the notebooks themselves all have a different D&D creature on the front of it. So there's one which is the Lich, one which is a Displacer Beast, Black Dragon, Beholder, and finally, of course, the Owl Bear. The Owl Bear. It's grid paper on the inside, which, as you know, I like. And yeah, there's not a ton of pages, but like I feel like if you were doing a new campaign, this might last a campaign. This could be a fun little journal to last a campaign. And then the other stuff in here is use this box to store your dice and gaming accessories safely within the chest. So I guess if you kept all the notebooks, you know what? This is fun. It just occurred to me, it's like if you play weekly, everyone can leave their individual notebooks in the chest wherever you play D&D. And then you can just leave your dice in here, and then whenever people come to the session, they open the box, they take out their notebook, right? So they don't have to carry it around with them. That's nice. Another good product. That would be handy for groups that have lots of forgetful people in them, people like me. Yeah, I would have no issue, like, well, this is what, I'm going to end up using this as just having a backup thing with journals and dice in for anyone who needs it. I'm surprising myself with how positively I'm reviewing these, because that's another good product. It's like a well thought out product for particularly like certain tables. And that would be good stocking filler too. Okay, now we are going to get into some bad stuff. And this is something I bought purely by accident. This kind of gave me the idea for this video, to be honest, because I was in a bookstore and I saw How Not to Get Eaten by Owlbears, a survival guide for the Forgotten Realms. And I thought, oh, this is one of those books for young adventurers that D&D does, where it's like children's books. They're usually smaller. They usually look a bit like this. But I took a look, I was like, no, it's not. It doesn't say that on it anywhere. And I kind of read a few pages. I was like, this is interesting. Okay, I'll buy it and I'll review it with a bunch of other stuff. But I ended up I've read maybe half of it, and the idea is that the author is like an adventurer, and this is like his guidebook to the Forgotten Realms. It's very clear that this was inspired by and is targeted towards Baldur's Gate 3 players and fans. It does give you more information about like Faerun and the Forgotten Realms, the most popular setting in D&D, but it doesn't go in deep on any of it. It's all very surface level, and it is kind of written a bit like this could easily be one of the kids' books. All the artwork in there is like artwork we've seen in other books, which is something I'm seeing a lot lately with D&D stuff. They recycle artwork. And I'm fine for them to do that. If they make art for like some niche adventure like Quests from the Infinite Staircase, and the art suits something else perfectly, reuse the art. The art's awesome normally, so why not? But then I look at a book like this, and it's like half the pages is art. So you've got like a 100-page book that is small. And then on top of that, mostly art that didn't cost D&D any money to make, because they already owned the art. They just recycled the art. Like, look how many images are in this book in general. A lot of images, not that much text. It feels like they wanted to just make something without making anything new, and they tossed this together. I think it's bad, to be honest. Which sucks, because I wanted to like it, but overall, like, at its best, in my most optimistic opinion of it, it's forgettable. Like, I'm gonna forget this exists very soon. In fact, I already have. But that being said, this Worlds and Realms book is exactly the same thing. It is written as if from the point of view of a D&D character who is very powerful, who has traveled through the different worlds and realms of D&D, and it's fundamentally a guide book. So it's fictional writing. Sorry, it's non-fiction. No, sorry. It's fictional writing, and it's written in a way that is like you could find in a novel. But this is written way better than the Owlbear book. And the information inside it, well, you can already see it's much, much thicker, right? And it looks at not just the Forgotten Realms, but it has like information on Greyhawk, Mystara, Dragonlance, Faerun, and Eberron too, as well as stuff about the Feywild, the Shadowfell, and Spelljammer, the Nine Hells, the Abyss, Sigil, and the Outer Planes and Far Realm, which it's like an all-encompassing thing of like mainstream D&D right now. It's a pity that like Critical Role's Exandria isn't in there, because that's a world that I play in a lot, but I understand. And when I first looked in this book, I realized it's doing the same thing. It's reusing art. But then I got deeper into it, and I was like, oh, it's reusing art from like really old books though. Which I then did a 180 on that whole thing about not wanting reused art, because this is full of art that like I've never seen before. And not only that, but it's beautiful art on massive pages, which, you know, the art may not have been displayed like this in the first place. I don't know. I picked it up, I've read through all the Faerun stuff, and it's really interesting. It's a really good guide. As someone who is like, in the grand scheme of things, the 50 years of D&D, I'm a baby, right? I'm new to D&D. I've only been playing it for a handful of years. And what I know about like Faerun and the Forgotten Realms is what I've learned from like Baldur's Gate 3 and little bits here and there in like the D&D adventure modules. So just to get a book that is like, hey, here's the deal with the Forgotten Realms. But not only that, here's the deal with Eberron. And here's the deal with Mystara and Greyhawk. Places where I don't even know where to look for that information unless it's a Wikipedia page. It's like displayed in here in a fun way. I'm really liking it. It's also just a great coffee table book. Leave it out on your coffee table, flick through it while you're trying to figure out what to watch on Netflix, look at some pretty art, read a paragraph here or there. It's another good product. Expensive books for reused artwork, yes. Still pretty though, yeah. I think I'm team, like, by all means reuse artwork. It's logical. Just reuse artwork in, I don't know, add value to the books in other ways. And I think this book, the Owlbear book, they didn't really add value. It felt rushed. The writing was good, but like, it was more fashion over function. But this one feels like I'm actually learning stuff while I'm reading it and looking at the art. So, I don't know, it won me over in the end. It's a good product. Now, on to the Book of Many Things, I should say. And I'll do this fast because I've talked about this a lot in the past. This came out in January this year. It was supposed to come out last year, but it got delayed due to manufacturing issues. So technically it came out this year. The book itself is good. It's got really cool art in it, as is often the case with Wizards of the Coast. They don't skimp on that stuff normally, I don't think. And it's especially got really cool magic items, like phenomenal magic items in there. Like, it's worth it for the magic items. The lore in here and the way it's laid out is so-so. But where this book really shines is that it comes with the Deck of Many Things. It is a full product together, and the Deck of Many Things is a little treasure trove of it's all escaping. It's got a reference book, which in all honesty is pointless, but it's also got some of the most beautiful cards for the Deck of Many Things that I've seen. And I've tried a bunch of different decks of many things, and these are gorgeous. And what makes these so cool compared to other Deck of Many Things is that there's like 60 cards here. There are enough cards in here to like sort you out. And in the book, it tells you, rather badly, because of the layout, what each card does. And you can pull these into your games, and you can have your players pick from this deck, and then it can affect your D&D game. Despite me saying that like the book's not well laid out, and it could be better, the set itself, this deck, has brought so much enjoyment and so much fun to my specific games. My players loved using it so much, I want to put it in great. However, it is like $100. So simply because of that, it's good. That set is lovely, and having the deck in play as a physical thing was great, but it blows your game apart. It does blow your game apart, but I think this deck specifically, what makes this deck so good is because there's so many cards in there. You can take out the worst ones. You can go through and you can take out any cards that will just destroy the campaign, of which there's a few, but you can easily get like a full deck of like cards that aren't game breaking and use that. It's the beauty of it, it's like fully customizable. Next up, we'll talk about, we'll talk about these two at the same time. It is the Quest from the Infinite Staircase and the Vecna Eve of Ruin book. These both came out this year. They are both adventures, and they are both, I think, pretty good. Now, some people were having a go at Vecna in general because they were making a really big deal about it, and like when it came out, it was lacking in certain things. It's kind of railroady, for one, and the pacing of it's kind of off. I think I agree with those. Those are two problems with it. The DM has to do a lot of heavy lifting with this to make it work. I think they do with most like adventures, but it's levels 10 to 20, and it's one of the only levels 10 to 20 books I own, and because of that, it's really nice to have. And you can go in here and you can borrow monsters from here, you can borrow little adventure hooks, you can borrow full chapters, and you can throw them into your own games at high level play. So, I don't know, I ended up really liking it. It's nice to have. It is kind of like an Avengers fighting Thanos kind of thing. Like this other book, again, and like with all these limited edition covers, Wizards of the Coast do good limited edition covers. Those books look awesome. Same with this, so I can't fault it there. Quest from the Infinite Staircase is a bunch of like, not one-shots, but smaller adventures, which is always nice to have, an anthology, so you can just jump in and pick what you want and choose what you want and just run the odd adventure in here. But each adventure from this book is from like the 80s or 90s. Like it's old school D&D, They remastered the adventures for modern day, and I gotta say, I think they did a great job. I have played a few adventures out of this. I've turned one into like a one-shot, because they do expect you to like have a couple of sessions in each one. And I would totally, if I had friends who were like, oh, I want to play D&D, can I do a one-shot? I'm grabbing this book and I'm turning one of these into a one-shot, and that is so nice to have. With that in mind, I think Quest's Infinite Staircase is good, and I think Vecna Eve of Ruin is, I'm going to put fine. I think it's good, but I understand people's qualms with it. I completely understand why some people have issues with it. So it's going to go in fine. Next up, we can talk, you know what? Let's do the review of this album here. D&D released a new album called Bardic Inspiration. They're releasing it on vinyl that you can buy on Amazon, but I listened to it on Spotify last night, and I have been listening to it just during other things. Like, I used it to help me sleep. It's actually got some really good music on it. It's like orchestral pieces that are fantasy-based, and they've kind of slapped D&D. Well, it was created for D&D. Orchestral music, very cinematic. It's not phenomenal. This can go in fine as well. It's got a few pieces on there that I really like. Others, yeah, can't complain. Next up, I did not get the Lego set. But when I was in New York City after my honeymoon, I got my hands on some Dungeons & Dragons minifigures. We were in the Lego store and we saw them, and I was like, well, I gotta buy them. So me and my wife bought them. This has already been opened. We opened them in New York to see what we got. And like, look at these guys. They're so cute. You can totally use them as minis if you wanted to. And I know they're going to be fun little knickknacks to have around. I'm not a big Lego guy. I presume if you're a Lego guy, especially if you have the Lego set, then these are really, really good. As far as just cute little knickknacks go, I like them. I'm probably not going to rush out and buy any more, but if, you know, someone gave them to me as a gift, I'd be very happy with it. They're fine. They're fine. And I also grabbed this Vecna Eve of Ruin, I guess, mini loot box. These are always interesting to me because I see them all the time. This cost me $21 USD, which is a bargain, by the way, but you don't know what you're going to get. So on the side here, you could get any of those. You could get this on the back, seemingly. You get any of these on the side. 40 minis that you can collect. And I think the cheekiest thing that these boxes do is they don't show you all 40 things. Like, you have no idea. They show you the best ones. And literally the other 30 could all be just like different versions of oozes or something stupid. But I got this. I have opened this in the past. I have looked inside it. But this is kind of how it came. I was like not impressed with the packaging at all. But I got wrapped in bubble wrap, just like squeezed in there, this skeleton dude. Skeletons are always useful because they can just be placeholder creatures. You look at them and you know they're bad. I got this dude and I got Tasha, which I think is really cool, and that's going to be really useful. I think general witch stuff I can use for a lot of things. So 4 minis in total. This is very cool. This can be used for a lot of like 4-legged big monsters in my game. So I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know if I can like recommend buying a loot box because you don't know what you're going to get in them. But I would probably, at this price, I feel like you spend $20 on one painted mini nowadays. So the idea that I got 4 really good ones for $20 is phenomenal. Albeit I think this was on sale. But yeah, it's good if you don't really paint minis, if you just want like a lot of pre-painted words. If you want a lot of pre-painted minis fast, you just buy a bunch of these and just fill your set.